I want to ask you something. Not a polite question, not an icebreaker, not the kind of opener designed to warm up a feel-good seminar. This is a question I want you to take home tonight, sit with in the dark, and face entirely alone. When was the last time you were truly by yourself, not physically alone, but mentally alone? No phone, no podcast, no background music, no endless scrolling, no one else's voice filling the gaps inside your head. Just you and silence. I'm guessing many of you are trying to remember, and I'm guessing most of you can't. Or if you can, the memory of it wasn't exactly comfortable. That's not your fault, but it is your problem. Jean-Paul Sartre, the French philosopher, the man who wrote books you've never read but whose name you know, is famous for a line people almost always get wrong. L'enfer, c'est les autres. Hell is other people. People love to use this quote as justification for misanthropy, for being difficult, for their allergic reaction to social obligations. But that's not what Sartre was saying. He wasn't calling other people evil. He was saying that hell is when you can only see yourself through other people's eyes. Do you understand the difference? Hell isn't other people existing in your life. Hell is being unable to exist without their gaze. Not knowing who you are unless someone is watching you, judging you, confirming you. Hell is being afraid of your own company. And I'm standing here tonight to tell you, solitude is not hell. Solitude is the way out of it.
Under the lamplight's golden glow, your hand in mine sets the world aglow. The band plays soft, a gentle sway. Our hearts find where the night turns to day. The city hums a sweet refrain, a melody we can't contain. Oh, darling, let's dance till time slips away, where the stars above make the heavens play.
Who grabs their phone the moment they wake up, not for information, but for confirmation that the world is still paying attention. X checks messages, likes, and their own existence through the eyes of others. Even in a crowd, a part of X's brain is constantly anxious. Do they like me? Back home, X cannot sit still for more than 15 minutes. X turns on the TV just for the sound of human voices and sends random messages just to fill the heavy silence. At night, X lies awake because in the darkness, there is nothing left to distract them, and X is forced to face themselves, a person they don't actually know at all. X is me. X is you. X is most of us. We deceive ourselves by calling this being extroverted or loving connection, but Sartre calls this mauvaise foi, bad faith. It is self-deception, a refusal to face one's own freedom by hiding in the crowd and the gaze of others. When you cannot be alone, you aren't connecting with the world. You are running away from yourself. I want to ask you plainly, what are you afraid of in the silence? When there is nothing to hear or see, what emerges in your mind? In the silence, aching questions will surface. What do I really want? Who am I without other people? These questions are like cracks in the wall. We try to hang paintings made of phones, noise, or crowds to cover them up. But in reality, the wall is still cracking. Humankind has been solitary for a very long time. long before the concept of solitude existed. Thousands of years ago, being cast out of a tribe meant certain death. Our brains evolved to view isolation as a survival threat, triggering the same neural pathways as physical pain. This is a biological reality, but I am not telling you to live like a hermit. There is a fundamental difference. Imposed loneliness is hell, a wound that needs healing. But chosen solitude is the act of a free person choosing to go inward to meet themselves. Look at history. Newton developed the theory of gravity while in isolation during the plague. Kafka wrote in the stillness of the night. Einstein found his greatest ideas during solitary walks. Solitude is not a byproduct of greatness. It is a prerequisite for it. Sartre proposed the concept, existence precedes essence. A chair is made with a predetermined purpose. But humans are not. You arrive in this world first, and then you define who you are through your choices. This freedom is both liberating and terrifying because you cannot blame fate or a higher power. Sartre called this being condemned to be free. The weight of this responsibility is so heavy that many people choose never to be alone long enough, simply to avoid hearing the voice of that freedom. What is solitude? Really? Solitude is not a negative withdrawal or an abandonment of relationships. It is the practice of returning to oneself. All day long, you are preoccupied with performing roles: employee, child, friend. Solitude is the moment you stop performing, when there are no more expectations waiting, leaving only you and the fundamental question, who am I? Really, there are 3 levels of solitude you need to face. At the first level, physical silence. This is the simplest level, yet few reach it because we constantly fill the void with noise. A 2014 study at the University of Virginia showed that many people preferred to inflict pain on themselves with a mild electric shock rather than sit quietly in a room with their own thoughts for 6 to 15 minutes. They choose physical pain over facing their inner world. At the second level, silence of the self. Even when alone, your mind remains full of the voices of society and parents. Sartre calls this the process of recognizing the difference between pour soi, the for itself, the true, conscious, and free self, and en soi, the in itself, an object defined from the outside. You are not an object. You are not the definition others assign to you. But you can only realize this when you stop long enough to listen. At the third level, enough with the theory. Let's talk about reality. Why do I call solitude a superpower? Not because it sounds good, but because it works. And it works in specific, measurable, and observable ways. The first superpower, autonomy in decision-making. Many wrong decisions stem from the fear of disappointing others. Those accustomed to solitude know what they truly want and place their center of reference within themselves rather than outside. They can say no and choose their own path without needing approval or excuses. The second superpower, sharp vision. While constant connection only brings raw data, solitude is the process of digesting information. When we are doing nothing, the brain activates the default mode network to form meaning, morality, and empathy. This helps you recognize patterns and make more accurate judgments. The third superpower, immunity to fake connections. We live in an era of performing edited versions of ourselves on social media. Those who face their true selves in solitude will recognize the falsehood of virtual communities and do not mistake popularity for truth. The fourth superpower, psychological endurance. Solitude forces you to confront difficult questions about meaning and choices. Once you are used to sitting with inner storms, you will not be torn apart by external crises. This is not rigidity, it is steadiness. The fifth superpower, capacity for deep creativity. Creativity does not arise from constant stimulation but from the silence between thoughts. Solitude is the condition for achieving a state of flow, deep concentration without interruption. Those used to being alone can maintain this state longer without panicking due to a lack of external stimulation. Solitude is not always light and liberation. Sometimes it is dark, uncomfortable, and devoid of answers. Sartre knew this. That is why he wrote about nausée, nausea. Not a physical nausea, but that strange, glaring sensation when you suddenly see your existence unfiltered by any predetermined meaning. When everything just exists, because it exists, with no higher purpose. But Sartre did not stop there. He went on to say, that very disorientation is the beginning of true freedom. When the illusion of predetermined meaning vanishes, you finally face the question, now, what meaning will I create for my own life? Much like characters in noir literature, they stand in the shadows, clearly seeing the injustice and cruelty of the world yet choosing to keep moving forward. They do not believe in fairy tales. They choose to continue with their eyes wide open. This is applied existential philosophy. When solitude and pain are transformed into the strength to create value even within the darkness. I don't want you to leave here with a good speech in your head but no change in your life. So, let's be specific. How do you actually build a relationship with solitude? Take inventory. For 1 week, pay attention to the moments you flee from silence by grabbing your phone, turning on the TV, or making mindless calls. Just observe without self-blame to clearly see the frequency of your own escapism. 15 minutes a day. Dedicate at least 15 minutes with no devices, no noise, and no stimulation. Accept the initial discomfort so that you can later welcome the fresh ideas and realizations that arise in the silence. Write not to post online, but to think with your hands. The process of putting thoughts into language helps clarify vague ideas and uncovers the core values you once overlooked. Go into nature alone. Walk in nature without headphones to reduce cortisol and activate deep thinking. Nature reminds you that you are not the center of the universe, helping you feel relieved and able to breathe easier. Take delight in your own thoughts. This is the highest step. As you become accustomed to solitude, you will realize your mind is a fascinating place filled with unique observations and connections that only your specific life can create. I must speak of this, because otherwise, my words might sound like a call to live alone forever. That is not what I mean. Solitude is not the enemy of connection. It is the condition that makes true connection possible. Sartre had a famous and complex relationship with Simone de Beauvoir, his life partner, intellectual peer, and collaborator in writing and philosophy. They did not live together. They were not together all the time. They even had different relationships at different times. But they chose each other continuously and consciously for over 50 years. Not because they needed each other to survive, but because they chose each other. This is the kind of love that solitude enables. Love from a place of fullness, not from lack.
Cool. Your smile breaks every unspoken rule. Each step we take, the world fades behind. We're lost in a moment, two souls align. The music swells, it pulls us near. Your heart beats the song I wanna hear. Oh, darling, let's dance till time slips away, where the stars above make the heavens play.
Do you remember my question at the beginning? When was the last time you were truly alone? I want to add one more question. And when you are alone, do you know who that person is? If you don't know who that person is, or if you're afraid to sit with that person, then no matter how many friends you have, how many relationships you have, how many achievements you have, you are still living someone else's life in your own body.